199 races have been ran in RPL Tier 1 prior to today. It is RPL F1 200 today. Welcome along, folks. I'm your commentator, as always, Ryan Searles, and alongside me tonight, once again, RPL Titan Iron. Let's recap things, though, for those of you who were not here yesterday during Tier 2. J&T Gaming won the race ahead of Redfire Tiger, and JTK was in third. It was Tier 2's 125th race, and maybe just like today, we had a Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes, three different constructors on that podium. Well, one other thing to mention as well about that, yesterday, J&T Gaming did not clinch the championship. We already have the championship clinched here for the drivers and constructors here in Tier 1, but there's obviously battles still for second happening behind. And another small recap, last week's race in China, Cookie won the race. He went on a extra stop to do it. He beat the Chiller and Leo Lund, rounding out the podium. Leo Lund on debut, getting the podium. But that was the focus last week. Leo Lund and the Chiller's return to the podium. A 7th different season. A 32-race streak of not being on there. Leo Lund's first race. Alpine, debut driver. Full-time now. That was the focus last week. The focus this week is who will conquer everything during RPL's 200th Tier 1 race. Titan, you've been here for a lot of the races. In the meantime of RPL, 200 is quite the quest for Tier 1.
Yeah, 200 is quite the feat, to say the least. And hello, welcome everyone to basically what is the milestone, a great milestone for RPL. But yeah, 200 races since RPL start. It started all the way back in October of 2019 with Zatsy lean as the owner. Well, now he goes by Meriton, but he started it all the way back during F1 2019's time. I've raced a grand total of about between 30 to 35 Tier 1 races in my career. Been on commentary for a long period of time, seen many races, many incidents, many winners, many heartbreaks, and multiple champions. It's a whole flurry of everything that you can think of in regards to RPL racing, and it culminates to something great here with the 200th running of Tier 1. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's just make sure people are aware it's not the 200th race overall, but the 200th Tier 1 race. Just to be clear. One other thing I want to say, because you spoke about your credentials, as for mine here, I would have to say, before hopping into commentary in Season 9 with you, in the meantime, back in Season 1, 2, 3 area of the league, I was race engineering Polo God, one of the Haas and Alfa Romeo drivers back then. Became Ferrari later on, and was a part of the Mercedes Academy too. After it was only him I race engineered for the longest time until the end of Season 4. It also became F1 driver I had race engineered a few times as well with Polo. And then it was constantly watching every week in Season 5 to also root on some of the drivers in my league at the time. Add Beatnik to that equation as well, of some of the drivers there. And then after that, when it wasn't F1 driver or Beatnik that I would either root on as much or be engineering with F1 driver, it was still Polo, but you add Sam Steed to that list, you add J&T Gaming to that list. Those were the guys, and Lando Norris 4404. Those were the guys that I had watched RPL for back in Season 5, 6, and then 7 was a little bit of a dip in that, where it was really only Lando racing and Polo at the start of the season. And then in Season 8, I'd tune in here and there for Sam Steed, who races here and there in Tier 2, but not often anymore. And this was the game that I ended up getting the call to do commentary for. I spoke to you, Titan, because I had commentated with you in a league on F1 2019 once. Watched you commentate RPL. I said, I see you guys have some spots available. And it's funny, there was no stream for the Tier 2 race in Imola in Season 9 that Sam Steed and Polo God took podiums for. I was in their party listening to them the entire time during the race, and I said, how about I step up myself and be the guy who streams the tier 2 races. And yeah, here we are since then. It's quite the journey for you and I. You were a F1 driver at one point. I was an F2 driver here at one point back in season 12. We were bound to be teammates the next season, and then that never went through. So that sucks, but we're teammates here in the commentary box now, which is quite nice. And yeah, race 200 to tier 1. This should be a good one, and especially with it being a home race of some of these drivers such as Cookie, Axe, Skither, and maybe one or two more, I believe, gonna join that are Americans. I could be wrong. No, I don't think so. Well, just the two Americans in the commentary box.
Yeah, this is going to be quite. It's going to be quite fun as some of these drivers are getting themselves set up and ready to go. So we're just waiting on a couple of drivers here, just seeing in the lineups. We have 19 participating. One of those drivers that you're mentioning, Cookie, is going to be having to deal with starting at the back of the field, as Cookie wound up getting himself a qualifying ban for crashing out during Q3, and he is the last one out of that. So this is going to be really fun, to say the least.
Yeah, I was just gonna say as well, by the way, that you have Cookie starting at the back due to the qualifying ban that he got because of penalty points and whatnot last week. Hunted, you may have saw that he caused the last safety car. They feel he crashed on purpose. He did have penalty points added to it. Didn't necessarily get the qualifying ban that Cookie got. Either way, this should be interesting, though, in the process to see what happens. Ahead of qualifying, I do want to mention a few previous Coda races, Titan, before we get to any headlines of certain things, because Cookie will have a new teammate tonight. We'll talk about that in a moment. It's rained here before. It rained here in the Season 1 event of this race. That was the most pit stops by a singular winner. You would have seen that on the RPL Records That May Stand Forever video earlier in the week, when the Chiller won that race. Season 5 was dry. Season 6, I want to say, was dry. We've had mostly dry races, I feel like, at this circuit in terms of the past seasons, but I wouldn't be surprised if it were to rain in qualifying at all, at least maybe in one of the sessions.
Yeah, we've had some rain. We've had some rain at the past Texas races, so it will be. You never know if it will happen in this event for the 200th. There'll be a unique challenge should that arise. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone's. I don't think I'll be able to see anyone's stream, just to see what the weather's going to be looking like. I'll probably have to find out. Probably have to ask and find out what we're looking at here. But we do have a dry qualifying by the looks of it. We're Q1. We have 17 loaded up. We were planning to have 19, but the second McLaren of Joseph, a newcomer, was supposed to be coming in. He was here, but then apparently his internet decided to say "F you," not playing nice. And also the second Haas of Depth Night, he is not here at this present moment, which leaves just one open spot, which is the Williams.
So it is a complete dry qualifying. I'm watching from KVS and Bourbon streams that it is all good for qualifying. I have no clue though about the race though, because I have not seen anything come up about that. We have two guys going out on track. Chat, we have people who can get eliminated here in Q1. However, one of the guys who will get eliminated, virtue of the qualifying ban, is Cookie. So who is the one or two other drivers you think will be knocked out? Because I'm pretty sure that Joseph guy you spoke about, Titan, he should be joining us very soon.
Yeah, I'm just checking the driver chat. He is trying, but unfortunately, his internet is just not allowing him to take part.
It's really unfortunate for him because he's one of the drivers making his debut. Speaking of drivers, let's talk about who we have in our lobby tonight. How about TSR Cryptic returning? Three-time Texas podium sitter is back. In terms of pole positions in this lobby, he's one of the higher ones. He's got 7 pole positions, but has never won from that spot before. He's in the AlphaTauri. The guy who's in the Red Bull is Bourbon Boy. Bourbon Boy has won 3 races here in RPL Tier 1. He's a reserve for Red Bull Academy, and he's back. Carlson, obviously, in the McLaren. Mintoki, her second Tier 1 start is in the Aston Martin. She had finished 4th last night and may be getting dropped down due to penalties. Lewis Piper makes his return, a one-time winner for Alpine in that car. We have Alex Fox Johnson, not going by the name of Bishrol, but he's a one-time podium sitter in RPL Tier 1. Luke Range, the all-time winningest driver and the all-time podium sitter at this circuit, is back, and he is racing an Alpine this time instead of McLaren. Remember that sticker he had in Vegas? Titan, he can really redeem himself tonight. And Egg moved up to Mercedes due to the the main drivers, actually, of Cam and TB both missing. Jack is there too. And we have Challengers driver Axe at his home race in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, so many drivers, so many names. It's crazy to take a look at all of them. We have a couple of guys. We have a couple guys that are on inters currently on their laps, but the only guy that I see that's on a lap right now, I'm on board with Nathan Richards as he's making his way through the S curves. Let me get this telemetry up on my end as he's getting up to the gears now, down in the 7th gear, down the hill, heading into the first heavy braking zone of turn number 10. There's a McLaren. That is Carlson. Carlson might need to move out of the way because Nathan Richards is on a lap. As Nathan Richards high up into the throttle, getting up to about 205 miles an hour into the braking zone down the DRS straight, down through 3rd gear, up to 4th, now back down to 3rd. There's another car there. That's Matthew Bassett there, the Haas. He quickly gets out of the way. Sector 2 all set as he makes his way through those switchback corners.
Those corners are going to be very fun when it comes to racing. If you remember the Tier 2 race here, it was elbows out and a little bit too far between George Alp Williams and Wavy Knife. But it was still a fun battle because you had Mythic, the teammate, in there as well. And they were all racing for Williams. And right now the Williams driver, who's full-time in Tier 2, comes across the line in his one-off appearance for right now in Tier 1. A 34.3 is our benchmark. Nobody else currently on laps. We got everybody who's on laps, though. On the intermediate tires, they're just trying to test out their setup and figure out things here in Q1, which looks like we'll be eliminating only one driver as of the current time and moment. Titan, Nathan Richards, Mintoki, they're Tier 2 drivers. They have probably experience here at Texas. Mintoki more notably because of the Texas race earlier this season. Nathan Richards had just joined after Texas, I believe. What will that experience do for these drivers from Tier 2?
Well, as what you said with some of the Tier 2 drivers, they have the extra experience racing at this track prior. So they have a bit of an experience knowing where to go with some of the lines and all of that sort of stuff. But there is a couple of some of these drivers actually have experience racing at this track last season, but don't forget that was like that was basically a few months ago, back in like November, I believe, November 2023. Or they could have also raced it in other leagues. You never know. But with Mintoki and Nathan Richards, they have in regards to the mindset of time between races at the same track for Texas, they have the freshest experience.
Very true. So we have some guys coming out now on the soft compound tires. You have Egg, you have Jack, both on track. Jack has gotten podiums at all of the US circuits in RPL Tier 1. As for Egg, his only podium in Tier 1, there's only 2, come in Portimao in Imola that same season that he was on the podium with Jack that season, Season 5, when they were both back at the Red Bull camp. So, obviously 11 minutes remaining, only 4 guys have done laps, and you mentioned experience around the circuit. Well, I want to mention the circuit last season. It was the last time we had a first-time winner in Tier 1. It was Ads getting the better of Reese in this race last season for Mercedes. I wonder what the Mercedes guys of Egg and Jack can do then here, knowing that Ads won this race over Reese Dainty last season. And especially with the fact, Titan, that Cookie's got a qualifying ban, so this will definitely change the complexion, no doubt about it.
It will definitely change the complexion, no doubt about that. But knowing with Cookie, even if he starts towards the back of the field, he has tenacity and the willpower to just carve his way through the field, being patient, waiting for times when the time is right for overtakes. Just playing the long game is basically what Cookie has done. That's why he is our current and reigning champion. So I mean, even though Cookie will be starting at the back, 17th, 18th, who knows where he'll be starting, but I would not be surprised to see him in the top five before the first third of the race has been completed. But in regards to the Mercedes camp, you have Egg and Jack. Both of these guys are champions in other tiers. Egg, the season 10 F2 champion. Jack, the season 8 F2 champion, and a multi-time champion in F in tier 2. So these guys have quite a lot of experience. And they're also pretty good in these types of cars. So yeah, this is going to be quite interesting to say the least.
Egg currently on a lap, coming through now the triple right here, which can be a tricky corner for track limits if you try to step out of bounds and push a little bit over the limit, which we've seen drivers do in the past. Example, real life, Max Verstappen in the 2017 race where he got demoted off the podium. Now the final two corners here, turn 19 and turn 20, also tricky for track limits, but you will be seeing drivers push a lot in those areas. Egg is currently our benchmark with a 32.7. Now Jack Miles also was on a lap, but he invalidated it, so we're going to have to go again and switch to NRM KVS, the next one, to start a lap time. So you mentioned as well prior seasons. They also have Formula Endurance here as well to rely on, such as people like Luke Range, who won the race on track there in a McLaren, I think it was a Mercedes, I could be wrong, maybe a McLaren. No, it was a Red Bull, actually, it was a Red Bull, excuse me. You have Skidler, who did that race as well. You have NRM KVS, who was on podium that race. Jack Miles won that race. A lot of these drivers, their freshest experience of the circuit is Formula Endurance.
Yeah, I almost forgot about the endurance itself. This is so yeah, those guys definitely had the experience in that, like Luke Skither, as you mentioned it. Looks like KVS, unfortunately, he's gonna have to go again because his lap got invalidated in that in the snaking corners of the S's of Sector 1 and the beginning of Sector 2. These S's here, as Skither is currently going through them right now, this is a brutal section for track limit warnings and penalties. We see quite a lot of them over the course of several seasons in the past of Tier 1. And that's not the only area where you can wind up getting in trouble with track limits. The penultimate corner, which is where I just saw on the screen Egg go through a couple of seconds ago, that's another corner where you can get bopped for track limit warnings and penalties if you're not careful.
Bourbon is going through an area too where you can get bobbed for it because you just want to always push over the limits right there. That's turn 12, I believe, at the end of the DRS straight. Now, coming through the corners, which Lando Norris would probably say feels like a roller coaster right here. Now, the triple right for Bourbon. Our Red Bull driver for tonight's event for the first time in a Red Bull since halfway through last season. Here he comes now to the final two corners. I believe this is Andretti corner now. DRS will get applied. He almost goes out of bounds, but to the line, 32.3. That's our benchmark. Now we have other drivers out on track. Further behind that, we've got Axe on a lap. We've got NRM KVS finally on a lap. Luke Range is going to come across the line now. Let's see what the three-time Tier 1 champion can do. A little bit squirrely there at the final corner, but he's fourth fastest. That should set him safer right now into the next round of qualifying. We still have one driver who could be getting eliminated. I'm going to switch to Axe because Axe is now coming through the last couple corners of Sector 2. This heavy braking zone here at turn 11 can get very tricky. You don't want to touch the curbs too much, but he's going to ride the curb on exit and propel his car right here, apply the DRS, and figure out what's best for him. Minico seems to be our 18th runner, but because he was not on the lineups, he'll probably be eliminated in Q1. The interesting thing I shouted about probably about 5 minutes ago, Titan, as Axe goes off track, was the fact that it apparently has a 30% chance that it's showing for the race in terms of rain, but it doesn't show any rain for it though. So this should be interesting in terms of what the race provides, maybe a cloudy one. Since Axe went off track, how about you tell us about the last two 3 corners here, entering KVS.
So KVS currently going through the penultimate corner as we speak. Keeps it within the lines. A nice entry into that final corner. Back up to the power. Immediate DRS right after. KVS putting it into that 4th place. Now KVS, this is a very interesting spectacle for him, because KVS really showing a stride in that Alfa Romeo. In literally last few weeks, in terms of Q1 and Q2, he was basically right in that top 10 pretty much the whole time. And as you see on the screen here, guys, Minico is in the other McLaren. He has retired because, like I said, he's not in the lineup, so therefore he cannot participate in qualifying. The reason he is in the McLaren is because the other person that was supposed to be joining in, Joseph, unfortunately, he could not. Apparently, he is having internet problems, and he is stuck on using mobile data, and basically his ping and speed is pretty awful. So I just had a brief discussion with him. Said, do you want to play it safe and just not run until it gets fixed for next time? He said, yes, I want Minico in there, and that's why Minico is here.
Jack Miles now coming up to the last 2 corners here in Texas. He's going to have DRS applied right before the start-finish line, but these 2 corners he's going to have to navigate with perfection in order to get a good lap in. He is 8 thousandths off of that teammate right there of Egg. Not a bad lap at all. I just want to remind people, as you see John Dainty on screen here about to start a lap, that is not Reese Dainty's dad. That is Owen McMorran, and he is the driver that's deciding to play it a little bit of funny here with the username. Not the first time he's done that. He did that a few weeks ago in Las Vegas. Speaking of a Dainty, Reese Dainty stepped down from full-time racing earlier this week for the current time and moment. Next game, he'll be back full-time in that Red Bull. We're watching Owen, in support of Reese Dainty's dad, John Dainty, on a lap right now. Coming through the S's, you spoke about earlier, Titan, this being a tricky section. You just can't invalidate through here. It's so easy to do so. And you know you want to push the limits, and you know you can find more without invalidating.
Yeah, it's very true. Like I said, those S's are not to be trifled with if you are not careful with it. Owen currently going down to DRS straight and is getting some help, courtesy of Jack, who then bolts off out of the way. That was really sudden off of him. I was worried Jack was going to accidentally wreck himself. That would have been a complete accident right there. But yeah, Owen now through the switchbacks. Switchback number 1 into switchback number 2, down to 2nd gear, getting back up onto the gas and throttle. Now through the triple right. Nice and easy, flat out through here, up to 7th gear, into the penultimate corner. Drops it down to 2 gears, down to 5th. Now back up to 6th and 7th, into the final corner, down to 3rd. Easy back up onto the throttle output, DRS applied, and Owen goes to 7th fastest, just only 0.3 ahead of Mintoki. Mintoki, that's a very unique start for her, by the way. I mean, she's been racing around in tier 2, and literally her was a 2nd tier 1 race, and she's hanging dead in the middle.
Yeah. Time to focus on our drivers about to get eliminated here. We got Matthew Bissett right on the cusp. You've also got Lewis Piper, who is in the bottom 5, and he is going a bit wide there at the end of the S's. Not so good from him. A little bit of scrappiness there. 25.7 is his first sector time, and now he's going to complete Sector 1 into Sector 2, and the S's he completes as well. Seemed like it was a little scrappy, but if any of these guys here, 11th on down, do not get a good second lap or a good final lap here, they could be facing elimination, and Lewis Piper could be going in. We got Luke Range retiring from P9. He thinks he's safe. That's Lewis Piper's teammate here. We've also got, like you said, Mintoki up in P8. That's not surprising at all, considering the pace she showed in Tier 2. But she's on no ABS, though, for her second Tier 1 race, though. Not used to running no ABS, so that's very nice to see that she's been able to make the improvements that she's made. Matthew Bissett, Nathan Richards, they're on laps. We'll go to them in a moment. But right now, Lewis Piper won for Alpine back in Monza 2 seasons ago. Ever since then, it's been a rocky road. Just a few podiums, and then after those podiums, It's not been so great since Japan last season. It's been a season of dreadfulness. But right now, he's going to come across the line and at least have a chance to get through into the top 15. The question will be, can he hold it? Across the line comes Lewis Piper. He's 11th. That's not terrible by all means, but you've got Nathan Richards still in a lap, a 10th down in Sector 1, and you've also got Axe, Carlson. They're coming to start laps. But as far as Matthew Bassett, we'll see what he's going to do in the second sector just about now.
Yeah, Matthew Bassett into that heavy braking zone to get himself forward. A little wheel spin out of that corner into the switchbacks. He's about 3.5 seconds up, but don't forget he was on the inter run just to get a feel of the tires itself. As Matthew Bassett flying his way around the corners as he gets himself into the penultimate corner now. He has to be very careful not to invalidate. Not too bad there. Let's see how he does in the entrance of the final corner. Not too bad. Easy up onto the throttle. And he is, wow, nice place. Very strong. That's a very nice lap.
Who's going to be the next one to make the difference? The checkered flag is waving, and Nathan Richards didn't look like he could improve much. He's going to have to hope that Axe Carlson and Alex Fox Johnson don't better themselves up on the running order. Alex Fox Johnson's the first one to come across the line on the Alfa Romeo. His second race after his return. We'll get him P6. He's right ahead of NRM KVS. That's a brilliant effort from him. We've also got Carlson 2 seconds up. Axe 81 thousandths up. He's trying to better Nathan Richards there in that Williams, but in the AlphaTauri. Axe going over the curb a little wide there, but 2 tenths up still. Carlson, the first one, going to make the difference out of the guys in the area of elimination. We've got an Alpine coming across first. That's Lewis Piper into the pits. TSR Cryptic as well jumps up to 9th. And Carlson will avoid elimination. Second place on our board. So now it's up to Axe and Nathan Richards. Which one will do it? The AlphaTauri American driver in his home race or the WR PSGL commentator who's racing tonight? A Tier 2 full-time driver. Across the line, Axe comes. He's 14th. He's into the next round of qualifying. And Nathan Richards has been eliminated, but he only missed out by a 10th.
Yeah, just about a tenth separates Lewis Piper from Nathan Richards. So unfortunately, the Williams is eliminated and followed with the 2 drivers with the qualifying bans. Cookie because of the penalty points, Minico for not being on the list. But I want to say just want to give some fair credit to the Alfa Romeo pair of AFJ and KVS. I mean, if this was the last section of Q3, those two literally will inherit the 4th row, which is very good for the Alfa Romeo car.
Well, I also want to give a shout out as well, not only to the Alfa Romeo drivers, but TSR Cryptic. I know Axe says in chat he's cooked, but Axe is a previous Challengers driver, and Cryptic stuck it up there in P10, splitting both Aston Martins. That's not where the AlphaTauri should be. The AlphaTauri here in Formula Endurance was P4 in the race here in the one event we had there with Minico. So let's see what happens. Either way, here's our Q1 results. We have the top 5 occupied from a Red Bull, McLaren, 2 Mercedes, and a Ferrari. It's Bourbon, Carlson, Eggles, Jack, and DeChiller. Also, in that bottom 3, excuse me, Nathan Richards, Cookie, and Minico. Cookie trying to take a 19th pole of the season will not happen. Minico, who could have took his first today and was originally the Red Bull driver for today, but things changed. He's at the back of the grid, and Nathan Richards, a full-time Tier 2 driver, out in Q1. But now for Q2, we have 5 drivers getting eliminated not both times. This time, excuse me. I said both because I read Axe's message about him using the same tire in both runs, and he got through. So maybe not as impressive from Cryptic as I thought. But yeah, this time, Titan, 5 drivers will get eliminated here in Q2. This should be interesting because, just like we mentioned earlier with Cookie having that qualifying ban, everything is wide open for Q3.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this all together as some of the drivers are coming out onto the track. I wonder who is the first. I see an Alfa Romeo, I see a Ferrari, and a Mercedes. There's also an Alpine and a Red Bull. So it looks like the first of this group is going to be Luke. Then there's Bourbon, DeChiller, Jack, Let's see, Matthew Bissett. I see KBS, and this is gonna be. Oh wait, no, sorry, AFJ. Sorry, but this is
Works.
gonna be very fun. Looking forward to this.
I agree. Well, Dainty says, someone tell Bourbon not to pee in my seat, please. That's a good joke there, yeah. So, for those of you not aware, I mentioned it very briefly in Q1. Reese Dainty, the Season 9 champion, dropping down to reserve to end the season. Mentioned a lot of things going on physically with him. I hope best for him. If everything is not all right there, you don't want to hurt yourself more while racing. I totally get it. And as for Bourbon, I don't think he's had a Red Bull start since it was him and Reese 1-2 in Silverstone at the middle of last season. Bourbon has 3 prior RPL F1 wins, the Season 18 F2 champion. It shall be interesting to see how he fares. And that's the interesting thing about it, Titan. You don't have Reese in here, who's been on the front row quite a bit this season. You don't have Cookie in here, who, well, in Q2 at least, who's been on pole 18 times so far this season. The only guy who's been on pole that you have... Gecko's got a race ban, by the way. I didn't mention that. He accumulated too many penalty points. The only guy in here on pole position so far this season is Skither in the Ferrari. 7 front rows of that Ferrari, by the way. He had a pole in McLaren when he started the season there. And also, you could say Owen, because although Owen didn't set the fastest time in Singapore, he was awarded with P1 after the grid penalties were applied. We're watching Luke Range, Titan. Turn 1 we go through. Lots of different lines you can take here, but not the case for turn 2. Take it away.
Luke. Here we go. Yeah, so Luke working his way through the S's, keeping it within those track limit lines. Nice and easy with those curves. Don't want to ride too much on those curves as he's easing his way through. I gotta find that track map so I know what corners it is. I believe this is turn 10 as he's going through right now. Down the hill he comes into the heavy braking zone of turn number 11. Now to get easy back onto the throttle. Get all the way up to the gears, up to 8th gear. DRS wide open. Just pouring in that straight line speed. That straight line speed, which is very favored by the Alpines in this game. Into the heavy braking zone of turn number 12 to complete sector number 2. It is a 2.9 for Luke as he goes through the switchbacks. 13, 14, now into the double of 15 and 16 here. And here we go into the triple right now. Flat out. Don't want to get too close with those curves. He does touch it a little bit as he goes through 17, 18, and 19. Now into turn 20, the penultimate corner. Little ride on that curb, still keeps it within the white lines. Into the final corner. Nice and easy. Back onto the power. He invalidates out of the final corner. That benchmark would have been a 33.6. But unfortunately, he went just a titch too wide out of the final corner, which not only invalidated the lap that he was on, but the next lap as well.
It's so close to the front of the field so far, though, between DeChiller and Jack. Bourbon bettered that, and Alex Fox Johnson puts it right behind those guys currently on our timing charts. Lewis Piper hasn't done a race in quite a bit here in RPL. He's had a few starts earlier this season when he was full-time, but only 5th fastest right now. Matthew Bissett, though, interestingly, chose the hard tires in Q2, and even with those hards, he's not far off of Lewis Piper or Alex Fox Johnson. Axe is 8th. NRM KVS, another standout qualifying effort, this time in Q2. 2nd fastest. Next across the line, though, a 2-time champion is Skither at his home race, 2nd fastest. So Luke Range, the 3-time Texas winner, the 5-time podium sitter here in Tier 1. In trouble, though. Going to have to go again after that invalidated lap time. And, a little bit of love taps there with, I think that was him and Jack. We got Egg coming across this time. He'll be the next one to set himself on the board. We had Owen, 7th fastest. We have Mintoki, 9th fastest. And now Egg will put one of these other guys in the top 10 out, it looks like. It is going to be Matthew Bissett out and Mintoki, the Academy teammate, on the bubble.
Yeah, so Mintoki currently sitting in that 10th place spot at the moment. We have, and those in the bottom 5, we have Matthew Bissett on the, which I thought that was a little bit strange to see him under the hard compound tire. I mean, this isn't like it's not like not like the past F1 games where you have to go with a tire whenever you set your fastest lap on. That's the tire you're starting with for the race. But I mean, it's kind of
Remember those days.
I mean, to be fair, his lap's pretty good. Woo, baby, spins it out.
What happened?
Uh,
Oh,
Matthew
I
said
see.
spun out, but thankfully he did not get the cookie treatment because he spun out right by the entrance of the pit lane. So good thing he didn't get the cookie treatment and get immediately disqualified for blocking the pit lane.
Well,
Yeah,
hey, there was one time with Owen and Zach, there was a collision in Formula Endurance, if you remember here, at the entrance of the pit lane.
I
So
did see that.
that happened too.
I
I
did
remember.
see
I
that.
remember that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Carlson,
I still remember.
let's start a
I
lot.
still remember Owen just yelling, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, his reactions are quite funny. That's one thing that I've not
I
changed
mean,
throughout the 200
I'm
races here
sorry
in
for
2-1.
doing the Owen impression there, but
Oh, you're good. Not the first impression you've done in the last 2 weeks. Got
oh,
Carlson.
yeah.
What? What?
Oh, you're good.
What are you trying to say? What are you
Well, I
trying
was
to
gonna
say
say
now?
yeah,
You
because
trying to start stuff?
yeah, because last week I did say I was doing I did Donald Trump.
Hey, we're here for Texas. Track of the USA. Circuit of the Americas. Carlson, he's had 3 prior starts, 1 in Japan, 1 in Vegas, and one in China. But this will be the best one he can have possibly tonight. Last week he was penalized in the steward's office, demoted from the podium, and did not contain that P3 spot that he had after the penalties were applied with the contact with TB late in the race. The S section looked a little scrappy there in the middle of it, but I think he was able to recover it back up and still have a decent finish to it. Now we'll find out what his finish ends up being for Sector 2. Also, one thing to mention as well, you got Nick Bonventre, also known as Axe, showing his tires through 1 lap, 18% on them in Q2 through that 1 run, which is just crazy in itself. 2-6 from Carlson, and I spoke about opportunities for Carlson here, Titan. He's going to have quite the good one tonight. He showed a lot of promise in that Alpine at Vegas. He showed a lot of promise last week in that McLaren at China, and he could have been the first Swedish driver to return to the podium on this game cycle since, what, Maxwell probably last game? But it ended up being his good friend Leo Lund, and he invalidates too.
Yeah, he invalidated at the penultimate corner. That is not a fun corner you want to invalidate on. If it
Yes,
was
and
allowed, it
next.
was a 33-0. That would put him at 5th fastest.
That's what's unfortunate about these laps, Titan, that you invalidate through turn 20. It invalidates your this and next lap.
Yeah, it really throws a major wrench into your game plan going into it. So, but thankfully, there's only 6 minutes left to go in this session, so Carlson can easily just mosey on back to the pit and go back out, try again, and he'll be all set and ready to go.
TSR Cryptic's on a lap right now. The AlphaTauri driver sitting in the relegation zone, 13th on our boards. One of 3 drivers not to have a lap in. You can see him zooming through the S section right there. 2 times he almost went over track limits. You're wondering to yourself, how do you not invalidate right there, Cryptic? Well, the question that should be brought is, how far are you going to push it right there in that S section before you start invalidating numerous times? We have the top 4, though, in this Q2 session so far, made up of 4 different teams, but now Cryptic comes through the heavy braking zone of turn 11, and will come through another heavy braking zone at the end of the straight of turn 12. DRS applied, and let's see what this AlphaTauri reaches out at max speed, excuse me. Out of the main cars here, you know, or the second half of the cars, I guess you could say, you could argue AlphaTauri being the 3rd fastest overall in terms of these cars, maybe 4th. 3-2 from Cryptic. He might have to do a little bit better if he wants to safely get through into Q3. Goggy asking, where is Reese? Well, Reese Dainty, earlier this week, dropped down to a reserve. He is going to finish out the season as a reserve, like I said, but still be full-time for next season Red Bull. We'll talk about next season's lineup in a little bit, but Cryptic here, 7 poles to his name through the prior 199 Tier 1 races. A prior Tier 2 champion, and looking to have a good race here tonight in Texas. He had a podium here last season, but this season he's through right now into P9. Mintoki will have to go again there. She's in P11. We're now looking at Axe. Take us through it, Titan.
So Axe currently navigating through the S section, drops down to the 6th gear. He was in through of them at 6th gear. Now dropped down to 5th. Now into 4. Back up into the gears as he goes up the hill just a little bit. Now downhill into 7th gear as he heads into the heavy braking zone of turn 11, down to 3rd gear, and now we will fire it up back back into the straight to see to get the maximum amount of speed before him breaking zone to turn 12. His teammate Cryptic in the speed trap hit 196 in that car. Looks like Axe managed to match that time, managed to match it as he heads into the braking zone. Now to clear through sector 2. He's over a second up in sector 2, which means that's gonna put him right around with Alex Fox and DeChiller. If he can manage to keep up in the better of sector 3 as he works his way through the triple right. Try to keep it within the track limits, pouring in at RPMs, revving it high into the penultimate corner. Now to the final corner, heavy braking zone here. Keeps it in the lines, goes across the line. Acts P5 in that Alpha Tauri. So the top 5 now, 5 different teams.
While that happened, by the way, we did not forget to mention, we'll mention it now, Jack Miles, second fastest right there, just shy of pole position. Axe, at his home circuit, doing quite the job here for AlphaTauri, the Red Bull Academy reserve driver. Only 200ths faster than Egg right there. Axe, KVS, nice shout-out performances for them. We're going to get the last lap started here soon. The first one who will cross the line looks to be either Egg or Jack. It is Egg. We'll switch to the bottom 5 cars in just a moment when they start to cross the line, but I want to watch how Egg starts this lap because I want to mention a few things here if you're a driver. You can either go slow into turn 20 and arc it and start the lap like that, or go normal speed and end up maybe losing only 100th on your lap time into turn 1 here. You'll have a better run to turn 1, but the interesting thing about turn 1 here is lots of different lines that you can use. We're going to switch to Mintoki now, who's 12th though, about to enter turn 1 because she is in this bottom 5 relegation zone. The question now becomes, does she stay there? She's had a lot of experience in this Aston Martin Titan in Tier 2. That will surely play big dividends to her as she sets her sights up on a final lap here.
Yeah, but to be fair, she is going to be dealing with a bit of traffic here because she's got Alex AFJ ahead of her, currently on his out lap. Then coming out of that heavy braking zone that she's going through now, just a bit ahead of her is her teammate of Owen, who is also on the lap as well. So we'll have to wait and see what's going on here. But I mean, literally, the Astons, in sector 1, they both improved by almost identical times. Both of them 2/10 up in sector number 1. Let's see what Mintoki's got for sector 2. 8/10 up this time. That's going to put her right around with AFJ right now. But as
Track evolution.
She's going through the finishing up through the switchbacks now into the triple right-handers. Let's see what's going to be happening as these guys are just finishing up. Just under a minute to go left in queue number 2. Crossing the line is Owen, who puts himself into 3rd. That's now 6 teams in the top 6. And now Mintoki joins her way up into 8th right now. Next up, well, Alex Fox is currently going through finishing his out lap. Same with Carlson. He is
Lewis
going
Piper on a lap.
Lewis Piper on a lap. Yep. I see him right
2/10
now.
up.
He's in the switchbacks right now, as he is trying to get himself out of the bottom 5. He's in P12 right now. Cryptic is on the track as well. He's starting his final lap. Let's see what's going to happen here as Luke Grange, he makes it through. Looks like KVS is going to be coming across the line to finish his time, and he slightly improves, but stays where he is in P5 at the moment. But now, Lewis Piper out of the final corner. What's he going to be doing? He only improves to 11th, and I don't think he's going to be going anymore. So Lewis Piper, unfortunately, just misses out.
Skither talks about KVS maybe wasting tires for no reason, but it was a good lap. I agree with you, Skither. It's a long wait until the next car comes across the line. DeChiller is at risk of being in that bottom 5, and because of it, he had to go out again, and he is coming now to the final 2 corners here. with his academy teammate in the Haas behind, also on a lap 2. Checkered flag is waving. DeChiller crosses the line. He'll go 4th fastest. Next is Matty Bissett. Matty Bissett's able to get safely through, and it's now getting close to the front of the field, so maybe it's good that KVS ran that extra lap. Egg crossing the line, only stays 9th. He couldn't get better on that lap. Alex Fox Johnson's next, 2/10 up on the time, but he'll need more in order to get into the top 10 and beat Mintoki. Across the line, Alex Fox Johnson comes. It's only 10th fastest, but will he stay there? We've got Mintoki on a cooldown lap, Carlson on a lap, and Carlson goes fastest, 31.8. That's better than anyone else so far, and now that puts Alex Fox Johnson in the bottom 5. We got Cryptic coming across the line, only 12th. Next is Luke Range. Luke Range, previous winner in Texas, will be a winner tonight in terms of getting into Q3 for Alpine. One Alpine in, a Mercedes out.
Now that is a shot. That is a big surprise, honestly, for Egg in the Mercedes to get knocked out. That is very shocking to say the least. But then, but like I said, a fair credit to Carlson putting it at the top of the board within that 31s. But I mean, like I said, there's a few drivers that have actually shown some pretty good surprises. I mean, literally, Matthew Bissett, by the way, putting the house in P7, that was a very impressive Q2 from him compared to how he was last week in China. But yeah, this Q2 is already shaping up to be pretty good. And we have one big upset with the Mercedes of Egg gone from Q2. Wondering what the gap is for that.
Barely. 200ths between Egg and Axe. Axe at his home race gets through into Q3. Skither in his home race gets through into Q3. We've got a McLaren, we've got a Red Bull, we've got one Mercedes, one Aston, both Ferraris. They're the only double team in there. They've got all their academy cars in there with at least one car. You got Haas in there, you got Alfa Romeo in there, you got Alpine in there as well, you got AlphaTauri just behind. But yeah, Carlson, Bourbon, Jack, 3 different teams in that top 3, actually 5 different in the top 5. And eliminated from qualifying. Eggles in the Mercedes. That's a big disappointment. Alex Fox Johnson in the Alfa Romeo. TSR Cryptic in the AlphaTauri. Mintoki and Lewis Piper as well. All right, chat, there's 14 of you watching. Get your poll predictions in here for Q3. We've had previous pole position times in other tiers this game, such as a 31.8 in Season 9 F1 last season. We're not far off that at all. We have a 32.1 we had in the most recent Tier 2 race here. The season before that, a 32.2. And then in the 1 FE race here, a 31.6 was the pole time. We had Luke, who got pole in race number 50 of RPL. Doubt he'll do it in an Alpine tonight, but would be a good shout to do so. Would be their second ever pole if they did so and pulled it off. And DeChiller got podium in race 10 of RPL, but his team got the first ever pole in race 1 with Martin.
Yeah, so this is going to be good. So here we go into Q3. Here we go as some of the drivers are getting themselves out onto the field to see who is going to set the fastest lap in regards to who is going to be where in this, as the field is just jockeying around, figuring out who's going to be going in what. Looks like the Ferraris I've opted to go ahead of Axe, so they will be the benchmark, starting with Skither. I think since it's the 200th race, I am going to be putting in my top 3 predictions, and I'm going to be going with my full guess here on what we're going to be looking at. So I'm going to say in third place, and he is just going to barely beat the guy in 4th. I am going to say Jack will be in 3rd, just barely beating Skither for 3rd. Second place is going to be, and you may call me biased, but I don't care. I'm saying it. Very funny. I'm going to say Bourbon for 2nd. And for pole position, I'm going to say with a 31.7, Carlson.
Interesting. I think it'll be better than 31.7, but let's find out. It's time to find out who will be on pole position in Texas here with less than 10 minutes remaining. Laps are starting now. The time is ticking. Skither across the line, the first of the 2 American drivers and the first of the 10 drivers in the session. 9 out on track. Turn 1 he goes through now. Looks clean through there. Now revving up these gears as he goes through it, shifting to 5th. Now 6th, up to 7th. The S section he comes through now. Let's ride on board with the Ferrari driver. Riding these curbs here. Now on the exit of the S's, 25-0 at the sector split. Looking very clean and right on the limit here from Skither. Now, don't go over those white lines. He's just right on the edge here, Skither is. Trying to push his limits. 7th gear. Now going to shift down all the way to 3rd here at turn 11. A little bit of a slide there, it looked like, in the middle of the corner. A little bit upset that car was. He's got teammate DeChiller right behind, so he either will get dirty air or slight slipstream here. In the sense of where he's at. He's actually a little bit too far back for a slipstream in comparison to what the 2 Ferraris in Tier 2 did yesterday. Now Skither are going to come through the sector split. We've seen a lot of 2s through here, but it's a 1-8 for Skither. Let's find out what the rest of the sector looks like here in Sector 3. Skither, 2 previous Texas poles to his name, looking for a 3rd. And Titan, as he finishes his lap here, if Skither, DeChiller, Bourbon, Carlson, Jack, the top 5 teams there with the drivers all make mistakes, we could be seeing a Matty Bissett, an Axe, an Enram KVS, maybe a Luke Range take a surprise qualifying. It should be interesting. So far, though, no surprises on the benchmark. Ferrari are fastest. 31.9, though, is the time they're chasing. Next up is DeChiller, a 2nd behind, but we've got the Alpine driver next. That's Luke Range, and he almost validated like he did earlier. 3rd fastest. We've got the AlphaTauri next of Axe.
Yeah, he got it all out of shape out of the penultimate corner, and that's going to really hurt his time, a 35.5, so he's going to have to go again later on, a bit later on. Bourbon, unfortunately, he has to go another lap. He invalidated during his run. Now KVS is up next. KVS really showing his strong here, and he goes 2nd fastest, just 500ths clear of the chiller at this present moment. Next up, Matty Bissett, who has been hanging around in the middle of the entire section. Jeez Louise, what looseness out of him there. And it looks like Carlson has also had an invalidation. Had he not had that lap counted, 32.5, that would have put him in 2nd at the moment. Next up, we got Owen McMoran coming across. He is going to be coming across. Let's see what he's got for his lap time. He goes 2nd fastest with a 33.0. Jack going to be starting up his lap, and that is going to be the wrap-up of that.
Bourbon Boy, purple in Sector 1, 25.1. Let's see what it is in comparison to Skither, who's currently fastest. This sector, just moments ago, it was a 1.8. For Bourbon, it's a 1.9. So just a 10th difference between them two. Now the final sector, this twisty section, which Titan calls the switchback corners. You can make a lot of switchbacks happen here, but a very twisty section. Now to the triple right, reminiscent of Turkey's 3 double left corners, except it's in reverse. Now turn 19 will come through here where Skither had a collision with Beatnik in this race last season. The 2 Americans who came together. And now Bourbon coming together with those white lines. He's invalidated. We're going to switch to Carlson, though, who's now coming through the sector split, unless he's ran out of fuel. He has.
Yeah, he has.
Jack Miles, Jack Miles getting a tow. Look at this, Titan. This is beneficial to his lap, and he's going to pick up a massive slipstream from Owen.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting just barely hit that 200-mile-an-hour barrier just before the braking zone. That is really going to be crucial for him. A 2.1 for that Sector 2 split. That's going to be a very good lap for him as he works his way through the S sections. Just taking a look at the times. Jack is about 2/10 down on Skither in Sector 1, but he made up at least a 10th in Sector number 2. Let's see what Jack has as he goes through this final corners. As he comes out of the final corner now, across the line he comes and is a 32.3, so 4/10 behind Skither, but not a bad lap to say the least.
I just want to give a reminder to people, we have Invade joining in the Haas, and we have a brand new driver that you saw on the bottom of our screen from ATX. joining in the Williams on loan. Hopefully it gives him the right car, therefore we don't have to do a restart. But 4.5 minutes to go, and this qualifying session is looking spicy with 4 different teams in that top 4 area.
Yeah, it's really wild. Not gonna lie, there. As like I said, we have a Ferrari, a Mercedes, an Aston, and an Alfa Romeo inheriting that top 4. I mean, let's see. With the Ferrari's team principal of J and T. I'm actually surprised. Maybe possibly towards the end of the season, with only a couple of races left, I wonder if J&T's willing to have KBS give it a shot in Ferrari, possibly. Well, I don't know. Could
Depends
be
on who
possible.
misses a race then. It'd have to be if the Chiller or Skither miss a race, though. Speaking of
True.
next season for a moment, Titan, about that Ferrari lineup, it's Skither and Gecko instead of Skither and DeChiller. DeChiller's still in Ferrari Academy, but he's back at Sauber, though. Kick Sauber, the black and green car. Maybe on Kick he can say those funny things he likes to say on Twitch a lot, DeChiller. I don't know.
Maybe, but I mean, it's kind of interesting that it comes full circle because with the Chiller, him being the Alfa Romeo for Tier 1 Season 11, that's actually where the Chiller started in RPL, in Alfa Romeo. Back in Tier 1 Season 1, he was in Alfa Romeo to begin the season.
Yeah, that is a fair point to make, and not only was he a part of the Alfa Romeo in that season, but he'll have next season alongside him, no one as of right now, but in that same academy, Egg and Dom, who've really proved themselves here. Egg in bottom field cars seems to do well, but as you saw in Q2 right there, it wasn't the best from him in the Mercedes. And as for Dom really doing great in that Haas in Tier 2. Why not give him another chance next season in that car for Tier 1?
Yeah, and speaking about with tier 1 next season, I was reading in the chat. Apparently, I guess Cookie could potentially be missing a lot of races next season.
That is true. Yeah, he's from his job. I guess he's called up to do something. What is it? Either out of state, overseas. What is it? Something like that. So
That state,
definitely
I think it was.
long distance. though. Yeah, he'll have to bring his Xbox if he wants to win out big with that, but who knows if he'll do so. He's got a lot of other drivers that he could put in that car. He's got Reese a part of the academy, Fake TB a part of the academy, Cryptic returning to AlphaTauri next season. And he deserves a decent midfield car, Cryptic. Well, it'll be called V-Carb next season as well. Bourbon coming through the sector, 25-0. This could be one and done from the Red Bull driver based on how things have gone so far. He invalidated his first 2 laps that he's done, and now this last lap, he's going to have to make it count. The thing you mentioned there, Titan, about J&T as well, he's getting extra help in that academy. He has Invade now the co-TP instead of academy assistant. And next season, on the next game, you'll have Blue Goggy, the co-TP, and Fake TB, the academy assistant. Fake TB, 25 consecutive starts prior to tonight. He is missing tonight, and that streak comes to an end. However, 1-9 from Bourbon. He's basically replicating the lap that he did prior that he invalidated. However, the Sector 3 needs to be better if he wants to get to pole position, Titan.
Yeah, very true. As Bourbon makes those switchbacks look very easy. Now flat out through the last couple of corners, through that triple right, now into the penultimate corner, keeps it away from the inner curb there. Very good, very unique approach for him. As Bourbon now comes across the line, he is only second fastest, about a tenth and a half behind Skither.
If these guys don't hurry up in the last sector or approaching the last sector right now, they may not make the checkered flag. There's about 7 drivers on outlaps. One of them who isn't is the Chiller, who will come across the line now. Ferrari saw pole in the first ever Tier 1 race, but right now their cars are 1 and 3. Carlson will start a lap. We've got the Mercedes of Jack coming across the line, and Owen is currently bettering himself by only 58 thousandths. He'll have to find time here in the second sector if he wants to improve any places, but knowing how much of a boat that Aston is on these straight lines, though, it's going to have to come from Sector 3.
Oh boy, I'm wondering if these guys yet to cross the line to get their lap going are going to make it in time. This is going to be
well,
quite
not only
close
make it,
here.
Titan, but look at how close they are to one another. Owen's improving.
Yeah, Owen improving by over 3/10 of a second. It's not going to change his position at the moment unless he does really something strong under the gun in Sector 3. But yeah, Skither, Luke, and KVS got across the line in time, but they are kind of a bit close together, so that's going to create some dirty air here as Owen comes across the line to finish it off. He does improve by 1 place, up to fourth. Next up is, well, would have been Bourbon, but Bourbon on a cooldown lap. Now we have Carlson.
1-8.
1.8. Good God Almighty! What a powerful sector 2 that is from him as he's making his way through the switchbacks now into the fast less here, and it looks like I just took a quick peek. Wow, wow, Carlson now through the final couple of corners now. Carlson in sector 2, almost 2/10 ahead of Skither in sector 2. Here he comes across the line, and here's a 31-7, and that's pole right now. Next up is Jack. Can he answer against it? No, it is only fourth fastest. What about Matthew Bissett? Matthew Bissett, bit of a dark horse so far for qualifying. He got himself in Q3, qualifying 7th in Q2. He is 7th now, but will it stick? Now, next
Battle
up,
after
Axe.
runners.
Now, next up, Axe coming across the line, 8th fastest. Luke, right behind him, goes up to 7th, replacing Matthew Bissett. Axe comes across
He's done
the line.
it!
Skidler, wow!
Ferrari,
gap!
for the first time this season, are on pole. Unless the Chiller can dispatch him, but he can't. He's backed off on that lap. Skither, his second pole of the season by 5 thousandths. Ferrari's first of the season too. Race 100, they were on pole. Race 200, they're on pole.
Wow, what a separation between those two. 5 milliseconds separating that Ferrari and McLaren.
Reminiscent
What
of
a
Japan
qualifying.
earlier this season, just a few races ago. Except, it's only just the top 2 within a close margin. Skither, Carlson, Bourbon, Jack, the Chiller, Owen, Luke, KVS, Matthew Bissett, Axe. That's our top 10. Not too many surprises behind the top 5 teams there, but 4 different teams in the top 4. Skither takes his 23rd RPL pole position. This should get interesting, Titan. We got the strategy that we're going to talk about here right now. The potential for drivers to do soft hard, medium hard, maybe soft medium is a possibility. Won't see it as much of the drivers, but will be done probably from a few of these guys. Being the strategy here for tonight, ERS gain back 17% and pit stop loss 19.5 seconds in the pit lane. Excuse me. Lap 1, turn 1 into the S's. That should get interesting, Titan, as these guys try to get single file. I'm going to have to be right back quickly, but talk to me about that and the potential for rain in the race.
Yeah, so I'm checking on Bourbon's stream at this present moment. Yeah, so we got overcast and looks like the rain will be clearing. Looks like the rain will be clearing around the halfway point of the event. But this is going to be quite interesting. So rain to kick it off. So that means that depending on how quick the track dries, anything is possible to say the least. I'm looking at the strats here, as I'm wondering what will happen here as we're trying to figure out what will happen in regards to this race. If the track dries pretty quick, we could be looking at potentially for 28 laps. We could see the inters to the hards. Hards will go to the rest of the race. Anything is possible, but this is going to be really fun to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, how bad is the visibility going to be for these drivers into turn 1? Or even, can they behave themselves into the S's?
Yeah, that is the question, if it'll happen. And looks like, yeah, we do have a full grid now because Invade in the Haas, and then we have some other new guy that just joined. He is in the Williams.
Yes, that is true. Got 20 seconds, Titan. I mean, with the rain that is shown on our screens, Doesn't look like it's too hard. So, and it does plan to dry up from the looks of things, so they may go dry tires toward the end here. 5 seconds.
Well, let's do this.
All right. This should, hopefully they can get it behaved into turn 1 here with the wet conditions. I hope so. Here we go. The 5 red lights are coming on for RPL F1 200.
Baggity, baggity, baggity! Let's go racing! Take this style, boys and girls!
Almost 4 wide to the midfield as Skither tries to protect at turn 1. Carlson, Bourbon, they're giving him a challenge. And as they make their way through turn 1, you could just see the spray as they trumble around. Skither leads, Carlson there to challenge, but they're almost 2 wide. 2 rows deep into the S's. Yellow flags further on back. That's a collision with Cryptic and Nathan Richards, but it was almost KVS getting out of shape near to Chiller, and Axe is there to pounce. Egg is there with Lewis Piper, and Cookie's trying to gain spots. He's about gained 6 of them, it looks like.
Yeah, Cookie was gaining up on a couple of spots there, taking advantage of some of the things going on behind. Looks like, as you mentioned, Cookie and Nathan Richards getting involved in an incident as Matthew Bissett being battled over by Owen for the 5th place position. I think also Minico got himself involved because he's a ways back from the rest of the field. As KVS had to give up the position to the Chiller, but the battle between the Haas and the Aston, Matthew Bissett and Owen is not over yet. As Matthew Bissett on the inside, challenging up against Owen here. Will Owen retaliate down into the inside? Yes, he is, but can he make it stick? Looks like Matthew Bissett gets a better traction out of the corner. Matthew Bissett up in the 5th place now, Haas.
This is a really good start from the Haas driver, up 4 places, the most of anybody in the top 12. You have Roman making his debut. He's up 5 spots as well, right behind Cookie. Cookie only up to 14th, the Red Bull driver, but it's going to be a harder race for him to win from the back of the field with the qualifying ban. Skither leads lap 1, setting the sights there, and now Cookie turns on the battery just behind Lewis Piper trying to get through, but it doesn't look like he could do so. Further up, we got the Chiller trying to make a move on Luke Range at turn 1. Further on back, they do go 2 wide, I think, right there for just a moment, but now they're back to single file for the S's. It seems like a very behaved start, except for the 3 or 4 who fell back there at the start of Invade, Minico, Nathan Richards, and TSR Cryptic.
Yeah, and I just saw on the track map, Minico just overtook Invade for the P17 spot, but Minico has a ways to go. Looks like Luke just got a little bit out of shape coming out of those S's out of turn 10 into turn 11 now. The Chiller trying to think about going around on the outside, but the Chiller goes a bit too wide out of that corner. Just couldn't seem to warrant for the attack. So Luke gets some breathing room to get it done. Meanwhile, a bit further back, Cookie makes easy work of Egg. He's now up in the P12.
16 prior wins this season, 17 prior podiums, trying to get another one, but he's going to have to get through an Axe and Alex Fox Johnson, who are going wheel to wheel in front of them, excuse me. Alex Fox Johnson currently staying ahead of Axe, but Axe at his home race is going to go elbows out here into the twisty section. You got his teammate right in front of him for Alex Fox Johnson. You've got Axe right there, right in front of his team principal. They're still remaining wheel to wheel. Axe in front of Alex Fox Johnson. Nice cracking racing here in the inner conditions. And now Cookie right to the curb, almost to the inside. Could have gone through, but didn't want to pull anything stupid. We've got a yellow flag, though. It's for Invade. Back down the inside. Alex Fox Johnson is still not done.
Yeah, but now Cookie sees the door opening, going 3 wide on that main straight. Now, normally DRS would be open on this lap, but because of the interconditions, no DRS available. The Chiller, by the way, battling with Luke Grange for the P7 spot. A little bit of collision between the 2 up ahead. As the Chiller seen going completely wide, and looks like Luke will maintain a 7th, but I'm wondering what was going on there in the turn 2. Ooh, baby.
That was banging. And Egg off the road, rejoins back on in 16th. Axe and Egg tried to go side by side at the later stages of the S's, and it just didn't work. Cookie now in the back of NRM KVS for 9th.
I was just missing that part there, as Cookie now down the inside against KVS. Makes easy work of him, gets it done, and we do have our first retirement after the 3rd lap. That is Invade. He is done for the session. Meanwhile,
not the
just
day
a
he would have
smidge up
wanted.
ahead, the Chiller looking down the inside, bit of a lockup, trying to go for an outside attack against Luke. He does so, but will he have the better luck on traction on the inside here? Looks like he does. And who's the tail that wags the dog to follow him? That is Cookie trying to warn an attack. Just can't seem to get it done at the moment. Trying the old switcheroo tactic. Cookie having to go around the outside for the triple right. Can he get it to happen against a grizzled veteran like Luke? The answer is yes, he can. Luke up in the 8.
Cookie trying technically the worst to first challenge, technically not the worst spot in the grid. We've got Luke Range still going down the inside, still having a look right there, can't do it. Meanwhile, yellow flags further on back, that's for Mintoki having trouble. And now Luke Range is still not done, it looks like. He wanted to have a go, but he just couldn't. And now the two teammates here, NRM KVS and Alex Fox Johnson, wanted to go wheel to wheel right there at turn 1, but it just didn't happen. Alex Fox Johnson is just behind there, entering the S's, and you saw on your screen right there, DRS activated. It is no longer raining as heavy to where we won't have DRS disabled. DRS is enabled. We'll have our first taste of it on the back straight. Oh, Axe around. There may have been contact.
Yeah, so Axe spins out of where he was. He was running pretty decently right at the back end of the points, to be fair. And looks like the Alfa Romeos, they're battling it out. I'm looking from the rear camera of Luke. You can see the ascents of the Alfa Romeos, the KVS, and Alex Fox battling it out. Meanwhile, looks like Owen and Matt Set, they're back at it for the war. Woo, baby!
Ooh, the Alfa
KVS
Romeos again.
Yeah, KVS late on the brakes, almost went into the back of Luke. That was almost a disaster right there. But now AFJ up in the 10th place. KVS now out of the points at this moment.
It's crazy. It's crazy the amount of action we're seeing for a wet track right now. Not too wet of a track, though, because guess what? DRS is enabled if you're just missing out on that.
Cars coming in.
And they're going to come in for what will be the hard tires because it has stopped raining. They're going to try to go, maybe the hards the rest of the way, or to stop this. Let's see what tires they go to. Medium tires for Skither. Bourbon the mediums, Carlson the mediums. Those were our top 3 before the pit lane, and we do see some double stacking. That was to Chiller in as well. Yeah, everybody going for the mediums here, realizing the 1-stop not going to be the way to do it. The 2-stop going to be the smarter strategy. Have they timed this perfectly, though, Titan?
I think it's likely, but like I said, this rain ended right at the beginning of lap number 4. It is the end of lap 4. So, I mean, the track could have dried up pretty quick, or has it taken a bit longer for it to dry? And the track temperature is not up to snuff just yet. That is the question to say the least here. Just take a look at the gaps here between Carlson and Axe. It's going down deep. It's going down a bit on the decent side. So I think in some aspects, looking at it into the corners, let's see. Yeah, but the corners, I think they did make the right call to come in. So now Jack, Owen, KVS, Egg, and Axe, they're going to be under the gun here. Now, I was going to say, though, I don't think we will be seeing a double stack for the Mercedes pair because Egg is behind Jack by almost 9 seconds.
The Chiller lost out here on the double stack, though, and he got pressurized from Alex Fox Johnson, the Academy teammate, and he's telling him, hurry up, we've got guys behind who can overtake us. Luke Range lost out to Cookie, and Cookie only 3 seconds off Maddie Bissett, who is in 9th place, but 3 seconds behind our net race leaders, who run 6th, 7th, 8th, a lot closer than before. Everybody entering the pit lane here, and you can see how much the track dried up in a span of 2 laps. It's insane. Carlson will take over the race lead, though. The question is, where will he be in comparison to Jack Miles and others who just pitted?
Let's see where Jack is going to be as he comes out of the pits. As Jack working his way out, he's going to come out just ahead of Matty Bissett. But Matty Bissett gets himself ahead of Owen. So Matty Bissett undercuts Owen here.
So you're right. Maybe it was the right call there. The difference between one lap from a lot of these guys, Minico also getting his way up to 13th, and Roman getting his way up to 11th as well for the Williams driver. And something we didn't talk about a lot tonight, Titan, track limit penalties. Our first penalty, 5 seconds speeding in the pit lane. Nathan Richards, he's out of this race in the pit lane. However, our top 3 is close. And remember, DRS has been activated.
Yeah, Urban very, very close to Skither here. This is going to be, we're probably going to see an attack. We might possibly see an attack here, but no, looks like we're going to see an attack lead as Skither down the inside against Carlson. We have a new leader of the race. It is Skither.
Whoa!
Cookie right behind with Owen.
That was close to contact right there. I think they just barely avoided it. And Owen is still not done. Back down the inside, shoving Cookie onto the curb, just giving him the squeeze here. And now Cookie's going to go for the dive bomb, the lunge. They do make contact as Owen, it looked like, turned into him right there, trying to squeeze him a bit more.
Yeah, remember what I said earlier in the stream. I did say that despite Cookie starting towards the back of the field, I did say before the first third of the race, he'll probably see himself into the top 6. He is in 6th place right now.
It's absolutely crazy what this man can do. The Season 10 champion, fastest lap right there, and Axis, the first one of the drivers into the penalty club for the track limits. Owen sends it from too deep there and cuts off Cookie. Almost wing damage for the Red Bull driver there.
It looks like we just had our 3rd retirement of the event as Lewis Piper into the pits. He is done. That is the end for him. But yeah, what a shot by Owen down on the inside against Cookie. That was a wild shot and a half, but he got it up in the 6th place now. But I know this, coming into the next DRS zone, coming up after this corner, Cookie's going to be firing back right onto him.
Owen really trying to give himself a chance here in this race. Also, his Merck Academy teammate Jack Miles. Also, a change in the lead happening. Carlson regains it. Bourbon right there in the mix as well. He could go down the inside of Skither, and he does. 2nd place is now his, and Skither just went from 1st to 3rd, but Bourbon is still alongside right there, giving him the fight. We have DeChiller, Luke, and Alex Fox Johnson further on back. That is also wheel to wheel to wheel right there with the 3 of them. And DeChiller remains in front at the end of the straight. Cookie also in front of Owen, but only barely. Alex Fox sends it. Late lunge. Pinching Luke. Tons of contact. And now Luke back down the inside.
Yeah, Luke not want to give it up as a fight here as Alex Fox does the slamming of the door. Slamming of the door there, but Luke now down into 10th place. He is okay here as Cookie now battling it off with Matthew Bissett. Bissett looking to swing back and try to fight it back. Ooh, Cookie gets really out of shape out of turn 1. How in the world did he not lose it there? But wowee, that Haas decided to try to put a little bite back on Cookie.
Yeah, Haas have not really had many good results here as of recent. They're in a big battle for P8 in the Constructors with their Academy teammate Alfa Romeo, and technically you could say if they do get a good points result today here, they could be fighting for P7 with AlphaTauri, who don't have a single car in the points. They're 16th and 17th with Cryptic, so lots of battling through all positions in the Constructors fight, and battling once again for the lead. Bourbon Boy, our 3rd different leader of this race on pure pace.
So Bourbon down the inside into the braking zone of the DRS. Looks like Carlson trying to fight back, but just didn't have the opportunity to go for an inside shot. Now Bourbon does lead the charge. Skither having to sit behind in that 3rd place, but not too far behind is Jack. Jack's starting to slowly crawl his way back to try to get himself into DRS here. Meanwhile, speaking about with the DRS games, Matty Bissett still maintaining DRS with Cookie at the moment.
Him and Owen really got their elbows out with Cookie. I love to see that. Bourbon Boy fastest lap. Now give it to Cookie. Cookie has a train behind him with Matthew Bissett and Owen in it, like you said. And maybe these guys can go fight up at the front of the field. Maybe Haas could be on for their first top 5 of the season, if I'm correct about that. Yeah, they have
down the
had
inside.
3 7th places. Yep, Minico, you're right. Turn 1, through.
Yeah, up into P11 now. Now he's just got 2.6 seconds to go to try to catch up to his teammate of Luke. And speaking of which, when you talk about track limit penalties, we have our first one for a driver in the points. That being Owen, who's in 7th place right now. He picks up the first track limit penalty via the S's, but currently, at the race ended right now, Owen will be perfectly fine. He has 3.6 seconds cleared to Chiller.
Now, once again, it's going to be a change in the race lead unless Carlson stays behind and maintains 2nd place. He does. Further on back, everybody's still in their nice little cute DRS train right here. I just want to mention, by the way, with what you said, hold on, Minico, Roman, wheel to wheel, Roman, late on the brakes, through for now. Minico right there with Egg challenging. Minico back down the inside. It's going to be side by side here. Still. And the Williams has the inside line with the McLaren having the outside line. So which way will prevail? Egg wants to put his nose in this fight. He'll have a chance to send it up the inside, and he does for right now. Minico back down to P12. So the interesting thing for Minico, I was just going to say here, is that realistically, you follow Cookie through the field from the back of the grid, but he had lap 1 troubles. So that's what's preventing him from getting up there into the top 10 currently.
Yeah, very true indeed. Cookie currently 2.2 seconds behind Jack, as these cars are figuring out their attack strategy here. As Minico attack down the inside against Roman, the newcomer down the inside gets himself into P11. Whoa, boy, was that a little contact? Because I was just switched to the onboard of Minico. He was all over the place. But it seems to be okay at this present moment. Speaking of which, by the way, look who caught up to the front 3. Jack is now right on top, saying, "Ding dong, hello, I'm here to fight now."
4-car race to the front of the field. Now give the lead to Carlson. He'll deny Bourbon Boy of getting it back at turn 12. Further on behind that, you got Owen, Matthew Bissett, another trade in spots. How about another switch between 2 Academy teammates? Alex Fox Johnson through on Chiller, and further on back, Minico having to play defense here with Roman. Also Egg in the mix, and almost a collision here at the braking zone. They get it stopped in time, and almost 2 Academy teammates here coming together. Egg not gonna give this up.
Yeah, with Egg having to deal with that distraction by his new teammate, he just got himself into the penalty box for that. He cut in a little too deep into that second switchback, but that gives Minico a bit of breathing room to try to slightly pull away from those guys behind him.
It looks like it's close again between the leaders here at turn number 1. 2/10 the gap just momentarily, but it's 4 different constructors in this fight. You can add a 5th different driver in this fight with Cookies soon here. DeChiller ahead of Alex Fox Johnson getting the overtake done. And further on behind that, NRM KVS is trying to get himself back in this fight with Roman. Remember, he pitted just a lap later than these guys, so that's why he's back there compared to where he started.
Yeah, he's just chilling out. He's just chilling out in that 13th spot. Egg, by the way, all over the back of Minico, trying to muscle his way into that P11 so he can try to hunt down Luke and get himself back into the points. But like I said, once Egg gets himself into the points, he needs to pull that 3-second gap in order to keep the position that he has. Meanwhile, looks like we may have another fight. Looks like we might have another fight for the lead. No, ooh, contact between Skither and Bourbon. Skither into the back of Bourbon. Bourbon got loose, but keeps it intact. Meanwhile, Bowles behind. Alex Fox down the inside against Chiller, up into P8. Egg down the inside against Minico, gets himself into 11th.
Looks like KVS, as he just cut in front of Roman, there was a little bit of contact that backed Roman up. And if they're not careful right here, they might lose DRS here. Speaking of DRS, Cookie is into the DRS train of the top 5 right now. 3 big things in this race that you want to watch out that are key in order to win this race or get a good result. Don't have track limit penalties. Do good out of traction zones. And also be careful in racing wheel to wheel here and get the moves done as quick as you can, because you don't want to race wheel to wheel and crash into your guy. You had Egg, who lost a few spots earlier on due to the contact with Axe right there. Or sorry, other way around. Chiller now. Through momentarily on Alex Fox Johnson. He's trying to get the pass done here. And contact!
Yeah, contact between between DeChiller and AFJ, but DeChiller managed to muscle his way and get himself back into the 8th place spot. Speaking about what you were saying about with track limit warnings and penalties, I just took a quick peek at the top 5 to see where they're at. Skither has 1 warning back on lap number 5. Cookie, who's just challenging Jack for the 4th place spot, he has 1 as well. That was in lap number 2.
Well, I must say, Bourbon Boy's done a really good job here battling with these guys, which has caught Cookie back up. Is a team principle there. We've got Alex Fox Johnson through on DeChiller once again. It's just constant switching back and forth between these guys, and DeChiller maybe got forced off track right there. Got a track limit penalty due to that. Maybe might try to get that removed. I doubt it, though. Interesting battling, though, between the 2 Academy teammates, pushing each other to the edge right now, and they're giving us quite the fight to watch. I love it.
Yeah. It is some fun. It is some fun racing here in RPL. You never know what to expect between these guys. As I'm on board with Cookie, as he's trying to hunt down, looking for an opportunity to see if he can get himself into the podium places. As the Chiller has gone into the pits at this present moment. I'm wondering what's going on with him. Looks like we have a spin. That is Mintoki around in that miniature straight. The Chiller pitted off of those medium tires and is onto another set of mediums.
So I'm not surprised that he went to the mediums right there, because everybody who went to the mediums here is either expecting to do a very, very treacherous 1-stop or a 2-stop where they go to a second set of mediums, which they can do because it was declared a wet race, or go to a pair of softs by the end if they manage their tires right. A little slide there from Owen. I know you saw that too.
Yeah.
But the top 5, close once again. Will we see some moves here into the last corner of Sector 2? No, everybody behaving themselves, staying single file, but really where the moves could be made, maybe not this lap, but next one, Alex Fox Johnson and Luke Range, P8.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting to see. Just looking at the top 5, looking to see who will blink first and who will fight next, and then just popping up into the foreground, just seeing Owen just doing that little booty wiggle out of that corner.
That's one way to put it. None of the top 5 are in, and right now, Carlson delivering what he can here for the Alpine Academy at McLaren, currently leading this race. We had a first-time winner in this race last season. Maybe we can get another one tonight if everything all works itself out. Cookie just staying in this train, doing everything he can. And let's remember, he started P17.
Yeah, he started all the way in P17. He's now in the P4, looking to eye up for a podium here, as these guys are just navigating their way through the S's. Let's see what happens next, as we're approaching the halfway point of this race at the end of this lap. So let's see what's going to happen here. I'm wondering who's going to be blinking first as we go into this DRS. I'm definitely going to be seeing probably Cookie looking to warrant a battle against Skither to put himself in that 3rd place. He has DRS open and the overtake available. Skither this time actually going down the inside.
Whoa!
Against, woo baby!
Well, it was about to get 4 wide for a moment, Titan, and now both Red Bulls swap it around for just a second, and Bourbon Boy back down the inside of Skither, but they're all remaining in the same spots that they were just for the time being down that street. And now will Cookie send it? No. His teammate Bourbon, though, will go around the outside of Skither and try to give him the fight, and somehow they're still in the same spots they were before the DRS straight.
Well, actually, the only difference is Skither getting ahead of Bourbon, actually. Bourbon
Yeah, you're right.
Was ahead of Skither, but yeah, when Skither went for the attack on the inside, Carlson saw him coming and moved to the left to cover Skither off. Bourbon thought of an opportunity to try to go for a 3 wide and attempt here. Looks like Cookie speaking of which, Cookie going down the inside against his teammate. Ooh, very close wheel to wheel between the 2 Red Bulls. Ooh, little wheel banging in turn 2, but Bourbon maintaining the position.
Egg now getting the upper edge on Luke Range, and Alex Fox Johnson goes way too deep at turn 1. Minica will go alongside. And these two had some exchange in words before the race, but right now they exchange only positions, not words.
Yeah, Minico now up into the points. This is what is crucial for the Red Bulls, because you have one Red Bull, not Red Bull, for the McLarens. Sorry about that. This is crucial for the McLarens because they are in a tight constructors fight with Ferrari for second at this moment, separated by 5 points between these two teams. So this is going to be crucial here for these guys. Minico getting himself into the points. Any point is necessary in that crucial fight. Carlson with 25, Minico with 1 at the moment, and we have only one Ferrari in the point. That is Skither with 18, because the Chiller is all the way down in 15th position.
The interesting thing about Cookie here, if he can take the race lead and can take the race win, as we're past halfway now in this race, is that for Cookie's sake, I just want to mention it. I thought I saw maybe Skither going to duck for the pit lane. He didn't. Cookie can get the most single wins in a season by a driver tonight if he wins. He'd beat Luke's Season 3 record. And also, if he ends up scoring 40 or more points in the final few races here. Final 3 races, in fact. Oh, what happened at the back of the field here?
No, actually, it was towards the front. I was on board with Cookie. He misjudged the braking just enough. He bumped into the back of Bourbon. Bourbon got really out of shape and loose. Bourbon did manage to save the car, but unfortunately, Bourbon lost a lot of time to Skither because of that mishap by his teammate.
Oh my god. Well, I was just going to say, by the way, he'd also get the most points in a single season by a driver, by the way. I just wanted to mention that. The guy I thought had some trouble was Alex Fox Johnson. He's into the pit lane, and now Cookie and Bourbon might do a teammate swap here.
Yeah, down the inside against with Bourbon. As the Red Bulls switched up, Red Bulls deciding, yep, let's go with this idea. Cookie now up into the podium position. But now Bourbon will have to settle for 4th at this moment. He's got Jack, though, right behind for company.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the positions here that drivers have not won from because Cookie started P17 here in this race. There's 4 grid slots in Tier 1 that drivers have not won from. I'm just looking for that now as we look for our race leaders to be pitting here soon.
Yeah, I was trying to find that earlier, but I'm having trouble finding it. Skither's in the pits now.
Wow. Well, here are the grid slots, Titan. P7, yep. P11, P16, and P18 for Tier 1. But Skither, Owen, Matthew, Egg, Luke, all in. No double stacks.
Yeah, so with Skither in, this is going to mean what is the other drivers going to be doing to respond to this? What will Carlson, Cookie, and Bourbon respond with? Now, to be fair, given how close Cookie and Bourbon are, to be fair, if one of them decides to pit, the other driver's going to have to wait another lap to go in. So that means whichever Red Bull decides to go in, the other is going to be much more vulnerable.
Well, both of them at the end of that straight there on the run to turn 11 were just using a bit of their battery right there. So is that an indication that they're thinking of coming in? Bourbon at 60, Cookie at 25. So that usually indicates when a driver uses up quite a bit of their battery on the in-lap that they would be pitting. 4/10 the gap between Cookie and Carlson for the lead. Let's see what Skither can do for this undercut. The gap right here between Skither and our race leader, 18.2 seconds. The pit stop loss here, 19.5. So he's already winning out big in that spot right there against the race leaders. And while that was happening, Owen got the better of Axe.
Yeah, Owen on very fresh new medium tires gets the better of Axe as let's see who's going to be going in. Looks like Cookie has opted to stay out. His teammate Bourbon is going in. Carlson is in. Jack is in.
We've seen multiple times Titan Cookie still have a lot of speed at the end of his run when it comes to the tire length, so no surprise out of the drivers here that he's staying out, but maybe a bit of surprise in terms of the battery difference that he has in terms of Bourbon. You'd expect Cookie with having less battery that he'd pit first in comparison to him and Bourbon, but Skither coming out of the pit lane now, he will be ahead of Carlson and the guys behind him. However, can he gap these guys and get them out of DRS? The answer is yes. Owen closed up to Jack too. Interesting.
Yeah, Owen closed up to Jack, and actually also passed the Chiller to get himself into P6. So So Owen back into the fight here. Minico, by the way, also pitted as well. He is back down into 12th place, so he's gonna have a bit of work to do to try to catch things up. Now Cookie is leading this race at this moment, but he will be coming in this next lap. Gap between Cookie and Skither is 15.3. So as you said, about 19 and a half seconds separating for a pit stop loss. That means at this moment, Cookie will be coming out just a couple of tenths behind Jack.
Our current top 5 running order has a total of 48 F1 Tier 1 wins prior to today. Let's see if any of those guys can remain where they're at in the top 5, and one of them make it a 49th winner for those guys combined. Carlson, the only driver in that top 5 not to have a race victory. You got the 2 guys with 3 race wins, Bourbon and Jack, battling for P4, and as you see on our screens, Cookie is in, but I'm thinking with the pit stop loss here on the circuit and the massive difference on the undercut and overcut right now, as he does go to softs, interestingly, yes, that will have the better pace. That's why he stayed out a lap later. I think the interesting thing, though, here is he's going to come out behind Bourbon and Jack, or in between this battle. Fastest lap from John Dainty now, also known as Owen.
Yeah, so Cookie does come out of the pits. He's going to be filtering right behind with Jack.
He's cheering right now, Titan. He's cheering. He's ahead of Owen, who was giving him a lot of crap earlier.
But yeah, Cookie on the soft compound tires, so he's gonna have to go He's gonna have to go at least 10 laps on these soft tires. I'm wondering. I think if my memory's right, I think the average tire wear for Coda on the soft tire is what? I think at least 4%, 5% a lap.
5.3%. Alex Fox Johnson, I think that's his second penalty that he's got.
Luke in the penalty box,
it's actually
too.
his first. Yeah, Luke becoming the 7th different driver. Wow, that is critical for this race. And I did mention the possibility of someone going softs there from the mediums. Cookie's the only one to do it. You got Jack on the back of Bourbon, but this is 2 seconds shy of DRS right here. 2 seconds shy of second place as well, as Carlson is caught up there on the 1-lap fresher mediums. Just like last season, the battle was between Az and Reese for the win. We're going to get an even bigger battle for the win, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're looking at it here, Cookie about 3.2 seconds behind the leader of Skither right now. But speaking about what other battles going on, with battles possibly coming up, towards the end of the race, one to be watching out for in regards to the gaps is Matthew Bissett and the Chiller. Now, the Chiller has that penalty on him, and Matthew Bissett staying with them as Jack, by the way, just lost 4th place to Cookie.
Jack couldn't hold his ground for any longer, defending from the Red Bull driver on soft tires, the Season 10 champion as well. The driver with 17 race wins, 2 at his home race, but not 1 here in Texas, the other home race. He could be taking it, but right now he's got to get by Bourbon, who also seems to be charging toward this top 3. He was just 2 seconds back. Now the gap's 1.4, so he's really turned on the Jets, whatever it may be. And that race lead is also 3/10 as well. This could be a very interesting fight here at the end of the lap.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm having a slight laugh because I think it was much like audio playing games with me. I thought for a second there, I thought you just said Jack couldn't keep his girlfriend back or something.
Well, Carlson overtakes Skither to take the race lead, and Skither, as like I was saying about Jack, couldn't hold his ground. Yeah, no, if he couldn't hold a girlfriend, I'd be a little bit concerned right here.
Oh shit.
Jack, I would say, is quite the ladies' man, in my opinion. Luke Range, though, another guy who would be a ladies' man based on his stats here in RPL. The best driver statistically gets by Alex Fox Johnson, remaining in a point spot. Very good for Luke here to at least not have a bad race in Texas. You know, he does a lot of iRacing, hasn't really practiced a lot here in RPL as of recent. So for him to be in the points right now, very good here on the 200th race. And Cookie sets the fastest lap and is setting his sights on the race leader. But first, the guy in front of him he'll have to get by is second place man and other home driver, Skither.
Like,
what?
This is strange. The Chiller in again.
Wow.
This is unusual.
Yeah, he's going to
what
softs, but...
You know what I'm betting? I think the Chiller might be considering possibly robbing the fastest lap from Cookie.
Well, is he really that desperate, though? Because Ferrari need the constructors' points in this battle with McLaren.
Yeah. I mean, literally, that brings Minico one position closer to that to that the points
Point spot.
position because he has to get close. Oh, never mind. Minico gets himself a penalty anyway. Oh, he crashed!
Oh no, Minico off, and now for the race lead. It's about to be 3 abreast right here. Cookie trying to split Skither and Carlson. Skither
Holy
takes the lead in the
crap.
braking zone and backs up Cookie. He holds him at bay for now, but Kenny now into turn 13.
Holy crap! I think we're going to be seeing jumping up on my words here. But what a slingshot attack by Cookie here. He gets Carlson for the second place spot, but now has Skither to fight along with. Here we go. Let's see what's going to happen as we get into the DRS here. Out of the final corner, Carlson right up on the exhaust tail of Cookie here, but it's not going to be much further. Here we go. Going, gone. Giggity goo. Cookie up into the lead.
The difference with this race and Monza 1 lap less, quite a few races ago, is Cookie, when he spun out and was last, he took back the lead on lap 15 or 16. This time, it's on lap 22 of the race. But mind you, he's still got to get these soft tires to the end. He could do that a lot easier in the Red Bull with the best tire wear for that car. However, will the mediums come alive here? And Minico, 10-second time penalty into the pit lane. It's not been his day. And although he's running a special tribute in honor of a family member that recently passed, it's not been a day for him. And I'm very sad to see that from Minico, who really, really had high hopes for this race.
Yeah, he he basically had to get thrust in to fill in for Joseph that could not run it, but he was looking to possibly get himself into the points, but then it all went to hell for him, unfortunately. But now, speaking of a hell, Skither has a hell with Carlson, who's
Hold
all
on.
over the back of him.
Egg, I think, is trying the up and under here on Matthew Bissett because he couldn't get him to the braking zone, but someone who did get him at the braking zone behind is Alex
little bump.
Fox Johnson on Luke. Sorry, there you go.
Yeah, a little bump. Egg gives Matthew Bissett a little bump, telling him, hey, mosey on along, let's keep going, or else I'm going to be overtaking you. I mean, to be fair, even if Egg gets past Matthew Bissett, Egg is gonna has to pull at least a 3-second gap over Matthew Bissett to get himself in there. By the way, down to turn 1, Carlson clearing Skither up into second place.
Bourbon Boy was so close to clipping the left rear tire there, Skither, and you can see this is where the Ferrari tire wear will start to wear out. Remember, he pitted a lap earlier, Skither did, in comparison to the rest of these guys. 2 seconds now, the gap for the lead.
I mean, it's not surprising against the Cookie because, like I said, Cookie is going to be looking to break the record for most wins in a single season. He has it tied with Luke, but now at this present moment, that record is going to be falling apart and breaking away for sure here. Meanwhile, Skither having to deal with not only the other Red Bull of Bourbon right behind, but also Jack right behind him as well. Now, bear in mind, like I said, McLaren and Ferrari currently battling for second in the Constructors' Championship right now. At this present moment, as it will stand, the separation is 5 points. At this present moment, before any penalty reports, that gap will go up to 8 points.
Oh, Egg and Matthew Bissett into the braking zone, race wheel to wheel, and they almost touch right there. Egg is going to try the other way around, and he just couldn't do it, but now he'll have the chance here to do just that at this set of corners, and he just can't. Egg behind in P8, Matthew Bissett in P7, the Haas driver with no track helmet penalties. He's had a really great day, that Haas driver, almost up to the podium at one point for that Haas team. And as I spoke about with other drivers, or other past drivers of RPL, it's going to take a lot for a Haas to get a podium. You need the right circumstances, those intermediate tires at the start, and that wet start, as he's pumping the back of him, maybe not the perfect circumstances for him to get the podium. But now, Egg will try to claw his way back up into 7th place here. Will he try it at turn 1? Around the outside, he was gaining, but he just couldn't get past right there. Matthew Bissett remains P7, and Skither, you were talking about moments ago, almost out of DRS right here from Carlson. And I want to take the time to remind everybody that next week's Tier 2 race is in China on Friday. F1's Tier 1 race next week at Mexico. So if you want to continue to watch the action, You see some action here for 7th place. What a move!
You do not expect an attack down there, but Egg saw the door open. He slugged his way down, and he is ahead up into 7th place. But now Egg has the daunting task to get 3 seconds clear of Matthew Bissett to keep that 7th place. But knowing with Matthew Bissett, with how well he's been doing so far in this event, he is not willing to give it up that lightly. Whoa!
Almost touching into the braking zone after a really good move that Egg had prior, and now almost off the track. He'll have to regain the place here on the inside line.
That defense looked a little dangerous by Egg there into that braking zone.
A late lunge from Matthew Bissett. This battling closes up Luke Grange and Alex Fox Johnson.
Yeah, but don't forget, those two also have penalties as well.
Hey, Egg is going to this car for next season Haas. Maybe he's going to learn a thing or two battling a Haas right here. A few laps to go. 4 seconds, the gap for the race lead. It's going to be a battle for 2nd place. Don't count out Jack Miles or Bourbon. How about don't count out Matthew Bissett to take this place back out on track? My God, that was such a great move from Egg right there in the S's. Yeah, I was just going to say, if you don't want to miss the action here in RPL, how about give us a follow? There's a ton of you watching. You want to follow that kind of action right there.
Yeah, that was some wild action there. I wish we had be able to have replays appear during the stream so we can show that replay again of Egg down the inside of Matty Bissett. But to be fair, the only chance you'll be seeing that replay is when you'll be seeing the highlights of this race going up on the YouTube probably within the next day or so.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we saw replay, hold on, replication. Oh, the chiller. Oh, so critical for him to try to get this place, and he's crashed with Roman. Oh, the chiller, what were you doing right there? And Roman, what were you doing retiring on track? That's against the rules.
Well, don't forget, he's brand spanking new, so he probably didn't know about it.
Oh, my God. I was just going to say, if we saw a replay of that Egg maneuver, I would have just basically used the words of Rick Allen when Ross Chastain made the wall ride move. Take a look at what he did. That was amazing. I still can't get over that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the retirement
looks like
on
an
track.
axis spun out.
Yeah, I see that. I was just going to say, makes no sense to do that, though. Double Williams retirement in this race. Roman could have stole the fastest lap from whoever has it. Right now, it's occupied by Cookie. I was just going to say the chiller, just way too egregious right there. I don't know what he was thinking. He's not even going to be in the points at this stage of the race. Sending it for 12th place like that just seems a little unnecessary.
I only caught the end of it when Roman was off the track into the grass. So that's how I unfortunately caught just the end of it there. Meanwhile, back towards the front, looks like Jack is eyeing for a shot on Bourbon. Is he looking for the shot? He locks up, almost gets into the back of Skither, who's fighting with Carlson. We have 4 cars being able to fit inside the pocket of a muffin, fighting out for that 2nd place spot. This is a wild race here for that 2nd place spot. Ooh, baby, Bourbon still
not done.
Skither. Woo, Lord!
Luke Grange got Matthew Bissett. The Chiller got NRM KVS, and Skither is 3rd place right now over Bourbon and Jack. Bourbon and Jack just used some ERS down that straight, dumping it, trying to get the spot, and we're now on the penultimate lap. Cookie seems like he's in cruise control now with a 7-second lead, but right now, Skither's going to try to go up the hill and take this spot back once again. He'll try to regain P2, but if he doesn't regain this spot, he's going to have Bourbon alongside, and if Bourbon doesn't get that spot, he'll have Jack alongside, and he does! Side by side to the S's. They don't remain that way. Bourbon for 4th now. While that happened, Luke Grange and Matthew Bissett were trading places on the back straight. Now on the front straight, they'll do it.
God, there's so much wild action here. You can't seem to keep an eye on everything. Literally, we're in the penultimate lap, and everyone turning their jets into overdrive to get the most output possible. But to be fair, though, with Matthew Bissett and Luke fighting it out, this is giving Egg an opportunity to possibly get ahead of to get that 3 second gap over Matty Bassett to keep that 7th place right now. Right now, Matty Bassett 2 seconds behind.
Jack almost rear-locked it there in the braking zone, trying to avoid hitting the back of Bourbon right there. And Bourbon was able to keep him at bay. You saw him turning on the battery there, Bourbon, just burning that ERS to try and find a way past Skither. But I think it's going to come down to this last lap for them to do it, because they have 1 lap of racing remaining this time by, and now the 2 Academy teammates are going to go at it. Matthew Bassett's been overtaken by 2 cars now, so his chance at remaining in P7 has just looked like it's gone down the drain there.
Yeah, it's about 2.8 seconds between Egg and Matthew Bassett, so Matthew Bassett not going to be happy. He's down in 10th, but at the moment he'll probably be looking at going into 8th. In the 8th place at this moment. We're now entering the final lap. Cookie 7.3 second a gap, but Carlson not worrying about what Cookie behind far ahead of him. He's got to worry about the cars behind him. Skither, look at the amount of a final charge here. Looking at the ERS available. Carlson 21%, Skither with 40%, Bourbon has 35 available, and Jack has only 14.
This last lap into turn 12 is about to get very hectic. We saw it for the race victory last season.
I think we're going to see a desperate shot in the braking zone.
You're exactly right. Here comes Carlson trying to break the toe. I was just going to say we saw it last season for P1. This season, it's for P2 this time. And for the last podium place too. Skither's going for it. Down the inside. Now Bourbon right there in the background waiting for his chance to pounce. He won't do it. Jack Miles ain't close enough either to make an attack. And Skither up in a 2nd place. Carlson will try to go back around the outside, but pushes into the back of Skither there. Will he go for a move here? It's going to have to come from around the outside. And now a switchback. We'll go back to this battle in just a moment in time. This is going to get crazy. But this man from P17 is stopping every record there is. Most wins in a single season now is his. But race 200 in Tier 1 is Cookie. He wins in Texas, a 3rd home race victory. He's done it all. Skither and Carlson, baby. So close for the 2nd and 3rd place spot, but it's now our attention to P8. Matthew Bassett
on the outside.
He won't get P7 on penalties, but he still can get P8 here. Alex Funks Johnson has it on track, and now he's defending from Luke, side by side. A photo finish for 9th. Here we go. Luke Range betters Matthew Bassett on track, but he just couldn't keep it on penalties. Jack Miles came home 5th. Bourbon Boy 4th. John Dainty 6th, also known as Owen. You got Eggles, Matthew Bassett, Alex Fox Johnson, and Luke Range rounding out the points.
Oh my God, those last few laps just got so insane. But we just have to easily say, fair credit to Cookie to break the record of most wins in a single season. Just want to say this, I think in regards to contenders for driver today, I mean, to be fair, I have my 3 picks in mind.
Max got fast slap. He stole it from his team principal, I think. Let me just double check in just a moment. With the home driver with an American flag on it, we'll be waving that American flag right in front of Cookie.
Well, Axe stole the fastest lap?
I believe so. Our podium celebrations are underway. And just like yesterday, 3 different constructors on that podium. Carlson takes his first podium in RPL. And also, Skither with yet another one. Very crucial there. Holding on to the battle for 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship. Skither, with that finish, has claimed 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship.
Axe did steal it.
Oh, my word.
By half a second.
You know what's funny? It always seemed to be Cookie in that AlphaTauri last season who picked up fastest laps at the end of the race. This time it was Axe. In his 2nd ever race, and his first one that will count. If you remember Japan, he was in the Alpine as a reserve, and he didn't even do the sign-up form, meaning he was disqualified. So as long as he has done the sign-up form, that fastest lap will stand. Here's your final results, folks. Cookie wins ahead of Skither, then Carlson. Bourbon in 4th, a really, really good race from him. Maybe not the best of ones in comparison to his teammate, but he definitely helped his teammate, that's for sure. Jack in the top 5, another 5th place from him. He had a 5th place last week. Then Owen, Egg, Matthew Bassett, a driver that a contender in my book, Alex Fox Johnson, and Luke Range, our last points runner. We had NRM KVS to Chiller, Cryptic, Mintoki, and Axe finish this race, but we lost 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in regards, so who was your contenders for a driver today?
I'm gonna have to give my top 3 to probably. I mean, Luke had a good race though in his return. He doesn't practice a lot, so he maybe would be the honorable mention. But the top 3 in no particular order goes to the Chiller, or not. I almost said the Chiller because I read his message. Oops. Cookie, Carlson for the first podium, and Matthew Bassett keeping it penalty free in the Haas. Didn't get P7, their best result of the season that they've had 3 times prior, but a P8 though for him. That's my top 3.
Ironically, I am going to be saying the exact same thing. I'm saying the exact same thing as you. I'm going to say Cookie as well because he's basically started towards the back. He wound up winning it, broke the record. Carlson getting his first ever podium, very good stuff for him. And then Matty Bassett holding his own in that Haas, putting on a strong fight, pretty much hanging in that top 7 the entire time, almost the entire time, to come along with P8 in that Haas. Very impressive running for him.
I mean, I'm glad I stood up for those final few laps. That's how intense it was. It was just so action-packed, this U.S. Grand Prix. And the qualifying session was good with that, too, that we had. It was so fun, this race. I really enjoyed it, especially with it being F1 200.
Absolutely.
I just want to say as well, with some of our drivers who finished inside the points, Alex Fox Johnson returns to the RPL points positions. Luke Range, in terms of his all-time points scored in RPL, that was 2,061.5 in terms of how many points he has now, getting that one singular point. Egg as well, his best result of the season with P7. Some very good showings here in tonight's event. Cryptic outside of the points, not his day. Axe didn't have a great day either, but he stole fastest lap, so that's a very good thing to look off on. And Mintoki didn't have her best day. She got a track limit penalty on the last lap there, but she's finished every race that she's done in RPL regardless of the bad days that she's had. So I have to give her fair credit here with how easy it can be for some of these guys to give up, like you saw the Williams drivers do. And Invade had rear wing damage. That's why he said he retired, and we had 2 other pit lane retirements too. So fair credit.
I feel I just put out my driver. Just put on my driver to day contenders in the driver chat, and Skiller's not happy with me.
He's always not happy with not being on the driver of the day. I give it to him here and there. But
He says, bro, nah, me not being a contender at the defensive masterclass is crazy. I'm taking it to the stewards.
Hey, he had quite the defense, I must say. He was one of the guys who was always on the edge of his seat with how he was racing. It was intense. He was one. Egg was one. Alex Fox Johnson put up really good battles. I have to give Alex Fox Johnson and Matty Bassett some very good credit. I gave them a lot of slack for maybe some racing in China that was a little bit over the limit, but they kept it clean today, and they worked as an academy there to pick off Luke Range. Very, very well deserved there for both them to get points. Luke not happy with him. But yeah, we have 2 races next week. China for Tier 2, which will probably be the championship clinching day. And F1 is next week in Mexico. Continue to join us for the action here at RPL Formula 1. Race 200 in Tier 1 is in the books. And your commentators, Ryan Searles, RPL Titan Iron, we're signing off for tonight. Have a good one. We'll see you next time, whenever that may be. We got Tier 2 at China next week, or F1 at Mexico next week you could join us for. See you then.